the polar bar. The beggar's dog and widow's cat, feed them, and thou wilt grow fat. The Prophet said, you know, a man, in another case, a prostitute, a whore, went to heaven for giving water to a thirsty dog, the Prophet's teaching. And on the other hand, there was a woman who went to hell for starving a cat. She locked up the cat at home, neither fed it nor allowed it to roam to hunt for itself. He said, the people went to heaven or hell because of what they did to a dog or cat. And this is the kind of thing, you know, Blake is echoing. The gnat that sings a summer song, poison gets from slander's tongue. The poison of the snake and newt is the sweat of envy's foot. The poison of the honeybee is the artist's jealousy. The prince's robes and beggar's rags are toadstools on the miser's bags. The truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. I love that bit. That's no matter what in the earth. Just tell the politicians that. I'll repeat that. The truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. So when so many politicians tell so many lies, and even the truth told with the wrong intention, you see, is worse than the falsehood, saying. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. The babe is more than swaddling bands, every farmer understands. Every tear from every eye becomes a babe in eternity. This is caught by females bright, and returned to its own delight. The bleat, the bark, bellow and roar, are waves that beat on heaven's shore. The babe that weeps the rod beneath, writes revenge in realms of death. The beggar's rags, fluttering in air, thus to rags the heavens tear. The soldier armed with sword and gun, falsehood strikes the summer's sun. The poor man's farthing is worth more than all the gold on Africa's shore. On Africa's shore. One mite wrong from the labourer's hands shall buy and sell the miser's lands, or if protected from on high, does that whole nation sell and buy. He who mocks the infant's faith shall be mocked in age and death. He who shall teach the child to doubt, the rotting grave shall never get out. He who respects the infant's faith triumphs over hell and death. The child's toil and the old man's reasons are the fruits of the two seasons. The questioner who sits so sly shall never know how to reply. He who replies to words of doubt doth put the light of knowledge out. The strongest poison ever known came from Caesar's laurel crown. Naught can deform the human race, like to the armour's iron brace. The laurel leaf, of course, had poison in it. It's well known, but here's talking about power. When gold and gems adorn the plough, to peaceful art shall envy bow. A riddle or the cricket's cry is to doubt a fit reply. The emmet's inch and eagle's mile make lame philosophy to smile. He who doubts from what he sees will never believe, do what you please. If the sun and moon should doubt, they'd immediately go out. To be in a passion you good may do, but no good if a passion is in you. The whore and gambler by the state license build that nation's fate. The harlot's cry from street to street shall weave old England's winding sheet. The winners shout, the losers curse, dance before dead England's hearse. He's talking about the ruin of England at the hands of prostitution and gambling. And I do believe these are things we have to reduce and eliminate from society, but looking at the root causes and with mercy and sympathy for those of us who are involved in that. Muslims might add, I was going to say Muslims might add, this is what Muslims believe, you see, British value. Muslims are very British actually, I believe. We're very, and some, Idris Mir, one of our teachers said, Muslims are perhaps the new Middle England, so we stand for a lot of values which were held throughout Britain until recently. And we might add here, the drunkard stagger from side to side is the end of England's pride. You know, that's something I added. Finally, just a little bit more left. I hope it's worth it. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. We are led to believe a lie when we see not through the eye, which was born in night to perish in the night, when the soul slept in beams of light. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. And those two lines are the only ones Muslims disagree with, because we don't believe in God incarnate, God as a human being in flesh, but the Prophet did teach we are created in God's image. We are created in God's image, and in that sense actually we could accept even those last two lines. But I hope you'll agree with me that William Blake really captures some of these ideas, or far more eloquently, that I've been trying to get across. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you have a few minutes to get your feedback. I'd love to hear if you have any comments or questions, perhaps. And may God bless us and give us the capability and the strength and the courage to do something good and to work well in the face of all these challenges which all of humanity is facing at the moment. Thanks very much. Assalamu alaikum. We have time for...
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for Dr.
Anybody want to add? Especially the other speakers, please add, because I know I haven't done justice. That poem, I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's called Auguries of Innocence by William Blake. If you liked it, just Google it. I have to thank my brother-in-law who gave me the idea to read that out. The first 4 lines of the most famous ones, to see a world in grain of sand, etc. Okay. Now, lady first, yeah.
You spoke about the message of walking and the use of public transport and things like that.
Yeah.
I truly believe that those are all right ways forward in order to help the economy and society and life and everything. But are we able to, our children go to addresses and the imams and things, are they able to put that message across through the teachings? You say it's in the Quran and we know it's there and we read it every day, but I don't feel that our children are being given that message and it's not being brought through the family. Everything begins at home, and one of the ways forward, I say for parents, is by walking their children to school.
Yes.
It would be one of the biggest bonuses to reduce emissions, and also through when our children go to mosque, that the teachings are put forward in that way so the children can understand as well.
Yes, no, thank you very much for that. That's wonderful. You say that. Of course, walking to school, I know, well, we're very lucky. My children's primary school is across the road from the house, so we walk them every day, obviously. But it's great. But the school also does these special stickers, every so often they have a walk to school week or something, and you get a sticker if you walk to school more than a certain number of times that week or that month. And so of course my children would have 100% record in that, which is great. But we live across the road. So our schools do that, and our madrasas should do that as well. Our mosques. One of the sisters at our mosque who works on the environment, she told me off last year. She said, when it comes to Eid, you're always talking about how many Jamaats are going to be. Nobody ever says, don't drive in. You're always talking about car parking. Mosque has a problem with car parking on Fridays and Eid. And she said, what's the problem? Tell people to walk or cycle or take the bus or tube. Why don't you do that? And she was quite right. And I'm hoping to do that more. A couple of years ago, I started cycling to the mosque. And then I got, found it too tiring and lost my fitness again. And so now I take the bus at least. But there are people trying to deal with that. Now again, in the madrasas, a different issue, but same principle. You may have heard the Bradford Council of Mosques recently took a great step, which was to establish across all the madrasas in Bradford, which is several dozen, citizenship classes based on the Quran in the madrasa. The core part of a couple of hours a week for every child is the idea of citizenship, being having a sense of public responsibility, of respecting other people. And because again, this is all there in the Quran. That's a great step. Another great step would be to do something similar for the environment. Now again, Fadlul Khalid and his wife have been working very hard on this. They have a training course for imams and Islamic scholars, which is conservation and ecology, etc., based on the Quran. They have a training course, alhamdulillah. I think they've trained a couple of dozen imams perhaps. And I do hope that effort will snowball, because as I said, all of these teachings are there in the Quran and in the Hadith. So that's certainly the future, and it can be done at home and at the mosque or church or wherever, because you're quite right, yeah. The first tarbiyah or the first upbringing really is at home. But also for faith communities, it is at the church or mosque or synagogue or temple or wherever. So, they go hand in hand, and parents are affected And children are affected, of course, no one will hear from the Imam, etc.